The left-wing parties are actively looking to straight up ban the AFD and have promised that in the coming parliament, that's going to be on the table. Recently, just this past week, Germany's spy agency, which is basically Germany's FBI, officially labeled the right-wing populist party, AFD, Alternative for Deutschland, Alternative for Germany. They officially labeled them an extremist organization. Wow. Yes. And so they are now being targeted. What that means is they are in the crosshairs of the German FBI, essentially the German intelligence agency. It means that they can legally surveil everything that they do. The AFD has been rising in popularity the last few years. It's not an establishment party. It's very anti-establishment. It's never had power before, a newer party. And this past election, they won the second most seats in the German parliament. So they're the second largest party right now in the German parliament. Because of this labeling, an AFD spokesperson came out and responded to it saying this is, quote, has nothing to do with law and order, and this is purely political in the fight of the cartel parties against the AFD.
It's interesting that they're being labeled as like an extremist there, and they're being spied upon now and all that kind of stuff, because typically that would happen for a group that was not just extremist in their views, but like extremist in the way they carry out those views. So we're not just going to try to enact legal, legislation and change the law of the land. We're going to break the law and do it in a legal way, right? But that's not what the AFD is trying to do. They are trying to they have a viewpoint, they have a perspective, and they're trying to bring in enough of a influence and a weight to actually change the law and say, hey, this is actually hurting our country. We're trying to fix that in a legal way. And they're being labeled as somebody we're spying on, because of that. It makes me think that, man, Merz, this guy that's just been elected chancellor, it makes me wonder how conservative he actually is and how conservative their party actually is, if they'd rather be willing to work with the far left than
establishment.
The party slightly more right than they are.
That sounds like controlled opposition.
You're Troy, you said at the beginning of your statement there that you said typically you would not expect it if they're not actually breaking the law. And I would say that typically was a turning point, and a new typical was when the deep state's communist agenda and control came to the forefront of everybody, and it woke up the sleeping giant of the actual populism that doesn't want that and actually wants these conservative principles. And so now typical isn't typical anymore. Like you said, now it's thought police. Now it's in what you want to do. Now it's your ideology. Now it's your ideal. That's what they want to go and persecute. And it's like trying to stomp out a little fire or before it becomes too big. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. And that's why they're, and I would say that just points to the capture. You just made that point exactly, partnering with the left. Well, that just shows that everything else is already captured and it's just coming to the surface now.
This really is, as I've looked into it, it is the establishment trying to label a legal party going about things in a legal way, trying to do immigration reform, which we've had in the United States for the longest time, being like, we need immigration reform, whether that is people that are here illegally need to be sent back, or we need to close the border. There's lots of arguments on those sides. And the AFD is not calling for something that's insane. They're calling for immigration reform.
This liberal, wacky, lefty government leaders can pass laws that then allow them to go and legally persecute people for things like ideas and things like not act like. And so that's happening in India today. And so that's a real thing. And the thing is, when we don't have a constitution like the US, or you have judges that don't care about the Constitution, then it doesn't get solved and protected in the courts. And that's exactly what should have happened. And like what we need, like in the US, this caveat is we say we want immigration reform, but what we really need is immigration enforcement. We already have laws and federal duties on the books that have not been enforced. And that's all it's doing, is doing what's within the bounds of the executive branch.
American politicians have come out like Marco Rubio and JD Vance, and they have condemned this classification. But already German politicians have come out and said, no, this is how we know more about protecting democracy than you Americans do. Also, just so you know, there is a ban on the table as well. The left-wing parties are actively looking to straight up ban the AFD and have promised that in the coming parliament, that's going to be on the table. Is there
They
going
have
to
polls
be?
showing.
That's not
Man.
good.
They have
They're
polls showing that that's what
that
Germans
is
want,
not
but
good.
who knows who believes that? They say 48% of the Germans
Oh
want
my
that.
God.
Well,
That's
I think
ridiculous.
the polls
Don't
are
believe
that you'd be looking at might be a little off, Ryan, because I've also seen evidence that AfD is quickly becoming one of the most popular parties in Germany. It definitely is the most popular party
Look,
in Eastern
all
Germany.
the polls are off. That's my point. My
Yeah,
point is
no,
that 48% poll is
Right.
off.
If you're enjoying this episode, you can get access to the full-length exclusive conversation by becoming a member on youtube.com or locals.com. The links will be below. Also, don't forget to subscribe and come back.